I will take you back to my Joint Firearms Task Force days when I was running Group 4 up in New York City. So it was a contingent of ATF agents, NYPD detectives, and New York State troopers. So we were in so many directions at once, but of course the firearms trafficking piece, how do guns get trafficked into the criminal hands in New York City? So of course we would attack that. We have a gun recovered at a murder scene. How did that gun that was purchased in South Carolina come to this murder scene in the city? Bread and butter cases, not that difficult to figure out, but we wanted to not be 100% reactive. We wanted to get proactive. So when we would do a buy operation of significance, we're the ones posing as the bad guys buying the guns. We would then quietly arrest that person and then sit them down and give them you really don't have a choice here. Well, you do have a choice. You can go to prison, or you can hop on with Team America, and we can go after people that are worse than you in the firearms trafficking game. So one particular guy that we had, and the undercover had bought probably over 25 guns. They were all coming from the area of Sumter, South Carolina. Sumter, South Carolina is South Carolina's version of East New York. It's just a hot mess. Where New York City is the vertical ghetto, this was like the sprawled out ghetto. And that's where our bad guy was living. But he had spent a lot of time in New York City also. So he had the mindset, hey, I'm going to get a bunch of people, half of them my relatives, to buy guns because they're not prohibited, including girlfriends that he got to buy guns. And then he would drive them up to New York, buy them for, $250, $300 down there, and sell them for $600, $800 up in New York City. And we were pretty sure we were the only game in town for this guy. And we wanted to make sure we were the only game in town, because the last thing you want to do in an undercover, if you're doing multiple undercovers on gun buys, is you don't want to fund a firearms trafficking organization where you're getting 3, but you're really paying for 7 to get trafficked into the streets. So we always wanted to avoid that. We wanted to make sure that we were the only game in town to this bad guy, and we were. We take this guy off actually at his house in South Carolina, and he gets do you want to be with them, or do you want to be with us? And he, before the second handcuff was on, he very quickly wanted to jump on to the life raft, because he was not cut out for a life in federal prison. Or any prison for that matter. And what would sometimes be a 1 or 2 hour interview debrief, I remember, because it was the longest debrief, it was probably 9 hours straight that I sat in a room with this guy. I didn't want to stop him. He was like a radio, and I didn't want the batteries to run out. I just let this dude keep giving it up. And he did. And he laid out all the people that had bought guns for him. These were just not arch criminals, but we were going to make sure that they were going to get charged. They were going to have to plead guilty to the federal charge, line and buy-in, that they would be prohibited from buying guns in the future. Good. They're out of business. But we wanted him to start introducing us to legitimate, real bad guys that were into the gun game. So that's what he did. And one of the crews that he gave us this was probably one informant that gave us more targets than any informant I had ever worked. This guy was the golden goose. So one set of targets that he gave us, they were from South Carolina, and they had their own rap studio. They had a half-ass rap label. They fancied themselves that they were going to be the next thing. They weren't when we got done with them. So the informant says, hey, I got guys I can introduce you to up in Brooklyn that, are interested in these guns that you guys got. Good. Introduce us. And he did. So one of the detectives in the task force, he was a Trinidadian. When he put on the costume and started in with the native tongue, I almost had to look twice at him to make sure he was still the same guy that was in the task force. That's how good he was. So there was one particular gun buy that we were going to do. The informant was going to introduce us to several bad guys, some of whom we had bought from before. And this was like it was a lot of guns. It was probably at least 25 guns that we were buying from several different buy subjects. It was like a carload of guns and a carload of people with the informant, and he was going to marry us up. And, there always has to be the speed bump. Well, the speed bump was at about midnight, and we're going to do this deal the next morning. He's secretly texting the case agent, hey, we just got pulled over on the Jersey Turnpike by a trooper. I'm like, where? So I'm right there getting this information. I'm like, where is he right now? Good. I get on the phone with the troop for that area in Jersey, and I'm like, hey, your guy pulled the car off the speed, and here's the car, description, it was a rental. Here's the deal. We have a cooperator in the car. There's a lot of guns in the trunk, and everybody else in the car is a bad guy. What do you want us to do? Simply tell them flat out, you're going to get a warning, but I want to identify, who's in this car. There's like 5 people, 6 people in this car. He gets the identity, takes, like a picture, or gets all the information off everybody's driver's license. So that good. So this way we're not just dealing with a nickname. Now we know who, these people are. Good. Where does this buy take place? On the parking lot of the biggest Costco in the United States, which is in Brooklyn. It's a 2-story Costco. If you can imagine, everybody knows the 1-story, 2-story Costco on 37th Street, off of 3rd Avenue in Brooklyn, Sunset Park. Confines of the 7-2. Huge. The ATF division office was directly across the street. So we had people videoing this from the offices of the ATF, or, our windows, like on the 3rd floor, which was funny. It was almost like everybody in the office was at, the Yankees game, and they were like in the bleachers watching the game take place. It was crazy. So the undercover is dealing with one bad guy. Okay, what guns do you have? Good. Hitting them off. The next guy, same thing. The next guy, putting the guns in the car, putting the guns in the car, putting the guns in the car. Good. The undercover then, all right, now we don't need to buy any more guns from these people. They're dead in the water. So the informant had already told us that they were very involved with cocaine. Good. So on the next deal, because they want to sell more guns now, and there's talk about they want to get cocaine from New York City, so much cheaper than down in South Carolina. So the undercover works out a deal. I will bring down a kilo of coke, and you will give me a certain amount of money and guns to equal what the price would be for this kilo. And I'll drive down, which was perfect because this is where everybody was going to get arrested. So they think that's just a capital idea. And they're like, great. So there's negotiation of how much money, how many guns, and it gets set up. Boom. We go down to South Carolina, and we have this huge briefing with the ATF office down there and the sheriff's office, who we've been working with. And they're excited. They're amped up for this thing. They're very amped up for this. And we're going through our contingencies on arrests. And one of the deputies, we nicknamed him Shotgun. So I'm going through, hey, if we have a barricade, we're just going to treat it as such, lock it down, contain, call in your assets and negotiators. I said the word negotiators. This isn't like the huge briefing. Deputy Shotgun says, we negotiate with a gas gun down here. And I'm like, okay, we're going to hold off on the gas gun. That's not going to be option 1. That may be option 3. But we all got a big laugh out of that because he was dead serious. And we were like, oof. You would find law enforcement in Brooklyn a little bit different than that. Good. So that's good. We got motivated guys working with us down there. So sweet. We put this deal together so we can safely arrest the first 2 bad guys that are actually going to come. We set this up in you guys, we're going to get a hotel room. You just meet us at a hotel room. We'll let you know where it is, and we'll do the exchange of money, guns, and cocaine. So the way that we set this up is we had an adjoining room, and the one room was going to be the undercover, and the other room was going to be the arrest team, at least the hands-on arrest team, and then we had a perimeter team. And as soon as the undercover was basically going to give them the kilo after conversation, and the way he was going to get out of the room was say, oh, let me just go to the car and, get something, just any excuse to get him out of the room. Good. Now, I'm leading the arrest team, so I'm watching the video from this room on the TV in our room. And so we used a hidden video camera that we had brought down. The undercover's back is directly to this video. And if I can set it up, so if you walk into a hotel room, there's a little table with a chair, then there's a bed, then there's another bed, and then the bathroom is at the far end. So the bathroom would be furthest away from the door to get into the room. The camera is back there by the bathroom area, so it's filming the whole room. And the undercover is closest to that camera. So if you went from the front door of the hotel room, you got our 2 bad guys sitting at a table, bed, undercover, camera. That was like the linear order. So I knew the undercover had a Glock 19, and he didn't have it in a holster. He just had it like the Brooklyn holster. He had it in the back of his pants. on video. I watched the gun when he shifted weight. The gun slipped down his pants, all the way down his pants, and landed on the floor. No noise, but I watched this bulge go right down the back of his leg. And I could see his feet. He just kind of nudged the gun under the far bed. Bad guys had no idea what had happened because their vision was to his front. This happened behind one of his legs. So we're telling the team, okay, when we go in, just be advised, there is a loaded firearm, ours, under the far bed. So we're not dicking around. This is going to be a hard and fast takedown because we don't know, are they armed? But we know there's at least one gun, ours, in the room under a bed. Good. Not the undercover goes out. Now, we gave it about a 5-second wait before we came through the doors. And in the space of the 5 seconds, we're listening to the audio in this room. And these two dopes, these two bad guys, they go, yo, we got a bird. We got a bird, yo. Like they had arrived. That was like their, attitude. Good. We come in, boom, boom. They're both locked up. There were no two people more shocked on the face of the earth than them. Yeah. It's really not cocaine. Sorry. But you believed it was, and that's what counts. So they're under arrest. Now, the undercover, we had rented him a full-size Cadillac at the airport down in wherever the hell we flew into, I think Colombia. It had like 100 miles on it. It was new. So now we got these two guys. We get a local uniform guy, two of them take custody. These two guys, they bring them to the jail facility. They're good. They're secure. We rebrief because now we have, I believe we had, I forget if we had an arrest warrant or a search warrant for a few other guys. And everybody lived in the same little trailer park in the middle of like Deliverance / Sumter, South Carolina. So we rebrief, and we've got a pile of local cops now, and all of us. Good. And the undercover in the Cadillac, he wants to be part of this fun also, but he was the undercover. You can be there, but you're not going to be part of the arrest team. Just, in case there's a problem, they can't say, hey, we thought we were being robbed by this guy. Whatever. Okay, good. So you're going to be at the back of this conga line. And when I say going through dirt roads, gravel roads, so now it's like dark. And one of the local cops, he knows the way. He's leading us. So if you're not the first or second car, the dust cloud coming up, you got to be close like a NASCAR race so you can see these taillights, with the twists and turns. So before we get maybe a mile or two before this trailer complex, there's a left 90-degree turn, like it's a T intersection, like a one-lane dirt road. Yeah. We all go left, but there's like this dust cloud. By the time the undercover in this, all of 100 miles on this full-size Cadillac, he's trying to catch up. And he sees the dust cloud. He's like, all right, I'll just look for the taillights, except he goes slamming through this T intersection straight into a load of pine trees. The only part of the car that was not destroyed was the roof. It was like wedged, smashed. It was just, it wasn't probably not totaled, but it was close. Somebody saw the accident. They go back, they relay to Deputy Shotgun, who was kind of the leader of the local contingent. And he puts over the radio, he goes, "Oh, the Yankees in a tree? I'll have guys take care of that. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Good." We had to flatbed the car, call up Avis or whoever. Hey, you had a little problem with the car. So we get to this trailer park, and now we're fat. This is a fat arrest team. And we start seeing our targets. We're grabbing them. People are running. We're grabbing everybody. I mean, it was good. We didn't lose anybody. And one of the main targets, his first name was Sammy. So a girl wants to be one of these, no, you're not coming in the trailer. Okay, step aside, young lady. She doesn't want to step aside. She gets helped to the ground. She gets rear cuffed. Well, tattooed across her entire lower back, her parents must be so proud. It says, "Property of Sammy." Yeah. Like 4-inch letters. Like, I hope she married him when he got out of prison. Because, or met somebody else named Sammy. It's like, that's a bold tattoo. Property of Sammy. Good. So you're under arrest too, by the way. Deputy Shotgun, please. And we get Sammy and everybody else. Good. So that little crew was wrapped up. Now, they did have an actual rap studio. They made up a song later about this arrest. An entire song, recorded it, crazy. Yeah. So now, if that wasn't good enough, as we get all these people in custody and the whole trailer park is in an uproar, the sheriff helicoptered into this scene like Apocalypse Now. Like, it was surreal. He set it down right in this little parking lot, right in the middle of everything. I'm like, perfect. I'm like, that sent a message to everybody. And then everybody calmed down a little bit because they didn't know what was coming next. I thought that was pretty hilarious. I had no idea that little piece was coming into the equation, but it was funny. And all us New Yorkers, the lieutenant, the sergeant, and the NYPD guy, I mean, everybody, we were just like, wow, it's making an entrance. So we had a hilarious video from the hotel. We had a destroyed brand new Cadillac. What else did we have? Apocalypse Now landed in the middle of the trailer park. And it was a good night. One crew out of commission. It was good. And that was that. And that was just one crew from this, Golden Goose informant. So the juice was worth the squeeze. That was a fun trip. And it was good. It's like anytime I felt a little depressed, I would think back to that. We got a bird, yo. Bird, slang for a kilo. We got a bird. Fantastic. Yeah, you had a bird for like 5 seconds. Yeah, put some mustard on that. So, yeah, that was good. The actual South Carolina, we probably started that at like the hotel deal, which we call a reverse, probably about 4 in the afternoon, and then we wrapped up at, 1 or 2 in the morning. So a reverse is everybody is used to selling drugs to an undercover. That's what bad guys have in their mind. It's like, I got to be careful. I don't want to sell to a cop. Well, when we're the ones selling a kilo of cocaine, the natural, spidey senses on these bad guys is sort of a little lessened because they're like, of course he can't be a cop. He's selling us cocaine. Not really. Yeah. And we've done, that was that operation, but we've done several other flavors of those up in New York City where we would grab a trafficker and we'd debrief him. I want to be with you guys. I'll cooperate. And we grabbed him with 5 guns or 8 guns or 10 guns, whatever he had on him. Well, we know who were you bringing those guns to? Who are you going to sell? You don't have a personal gun collection of 10 high points or whatever. And then he says, okay, I was going to sell them to this guy. Well, guess what? We're still going to sell them. And now we're going to insert our undercover into it. And we're going to set up a deal where a bad guy's actually believing he's taken delivery of guns that he ordered. And the way it worked federally is the U.S. Attorney's Office wanted insanely, but they wanted the bad guy to actually have taken possession of these guns, live guns. So, of course, we made certain that there was no ammunition with the guns at all. Like, hey, you're on your own to get ammunition, or we'll work out another deal. That's never, ever going to happen. But in his mind, good. And then naturally, the general listener is thinking, oh, well, why don't you just take the firing pins out of them? That would be a logical thing to do. However, if for whatever reason we needed a state prosecution, and from your NYPD days, what's the definition? A gun capable of firing a round. That's an element to get criminal possession of a weapon in the New York State penal law. So doesn't have a firing pin, that gun is not capable of going bang. So it would not count towards a CPW arrest. Crazy, right? So we took a lot of layers of precaution in how we conducted that operation. And it was always a fat cover and arrest team. So there was no way the bad guy could be permitted to flee with those guns. Unless he called in a helicopter with a rope ladder, that was the only way he was getting away. There were rings of perimeters that once you check in, you're not checking out. And we used certain things that the guns were in that would be instantly recognizable to everybody that was on the cover team. Like, that is what we brought the guns in. So everybody knew. Whether it was a backpack, like Doherty Explorer, or, Hunter Orange, everybody, there was not going to be any speculate. Is that the bag? Is that not the bag? No. Everybody knew that was the bag that they came in. So the reverse operations, highly effective. And when we would brief this technique to other agencies, they took pause at the concept. They were like, that doesn't sound very safe. Well, if you don't have the risk management controls, it's not a deal you're going to do with 5 people. You're going to do a deal like this with 25 people at least, because those guns cannot walk. Could you imagine, the newspaper article, bad guy flees with 5 guns that ATF gave him? Yeah, not good. So that could not happen and never did happen. And that was a type of operation to be pulled out of the trick bag for very particular circumstances. And, that was one of them. Grab a guy, he's got a bunch of guns. Well, who are you going to give them to? Guess what? They're still going to get him.